Chapter 4, American Intonation.
The American speech music. What to do with your mouth to sound American. One of the main differences between the way an American talks and the way the rest of the world talks is that we don't really move our lips. So when an American says, "read my lips," what does he really mean? We create most of our sounds in the throat using our tongue very actively. If you hold your fingers over your lips or clench your jaws when you practice speaking American English, you'll find yourself much closer to native-sounding speech than if you try to pronounce every single sound very carefully. If you can relate American English to music, remember that the indigenous music is jazz. Listen to their speech music and you'll hear that Americans have a melodic, jazzy way of producing sounds. Imagine the sound of a cello when you say "Betty bought a bit of better butter," and you'll be close to the native way of saying it. Because most Americans came from somewhere else, American English reflects the accent contributions of many lands. The speech music has become much more exaggerated than British English, developing a strong and distinctive intonation. If you use this intonation, not only will you be easier to understand, but you'll sound much more confident, dynamic, and persuasive. Intonation, or speech music, is the sound that you hear when a conversation is too far away to be clearly audible, but close enough for you to tell the nationality of the speakers. The American intonation dictates liaisons and pronunciation, and it indicates mood and meaning. Without intonation, your speech would be flat, mechanical, and very confusing for your listener. What is the American intonation pattern? How is it different from other languages? For example, if you hear a Japanese person speaking English, the sound would be very choppy, mechanical, and unemotional to an American. The same way with German peoples. It sounds too stiff. A man from Paris, on the other hand, his intonation goes up at the end of every sentence and has such a strong intonation that he sounds romantic and highly emotional, but this may not be appropriate for a lecture or a business meeting in English. American intonation do's and don'ts. Do not speak word by word. Bob is on the phone. If you speak word by word, as many people who learned printed English do, you'll end up sounding mechanical and foreign. You may have noticed the same thing happens in your own language. When someone reads a speech, even a native speaker, it sounds stiff and stilted, quite different from a normal conversational tone. Connect words to form sound groups. This is where you're going to start doing something completely different than what you've done in your previous English studies. This part is the most difficult for many people because it goes against everything they've been taught. Instead of thinking of each word as a unit, think of sound units. These sound units may or may not correspond to a word written on a page. Native speakers don't say, "Bob is on the phone," but say, "Bob is on the phone." Sound units make a sentence flow smoothly like peanut butter, never really ending and never really starting, just flowing along. Even chunky peanut butter is acceptable. So long as you don't try to put plain peanuts directly onto your bread, you'll be okay. Use staircase intonation. Let those sound groups floating on the wavy river in the figure flow downhill and you'll get the staircase. Staircase intonation not only gives you that American sound, it also makes you sound much more confident. Not every American uses the downward staircase. A certain segment of the population uses rising staircases, generally teenagers on their way to the shopping mall. "Hi, my name's Tiffany. I live in La Cañada. I'm on the pep squad." What exactly is staircase intonation? In saying your words, imagine that they come out as if they were bounding lightly down a flight of stairs. Every so often, one jumps up to another level and then starts down again. Americans tend to stretch out their sounds longer than you may think is natural. So to lengthen your vowel sounds, put them on 2 stair steps instead of just 1. Instead of "we're here," say "we're here." The sound of an American speaking a foreign language is very distinctive because we double sounds that should be single. For example, in Spanish or Japanese, the word "no" is, to our ear, clipped or abbreviated. No. And in Standard American, no. When you have a word ending in an unvoiced consonant, one that you whisper, t, k, s, x, f, sh, you'll notice that the preceding vowel is said quite quickly and on a single stair step. When a word ends in a vowel or a voiced consonant, one that you say, b, d, g, z, v, j, j, the preceding vowel is said more slowly and on a double stair step. Unvoiced, seat. Voiced, seed. There are two main consequences of not doubling the second category of words. Either your listener will hear the wrong word, or even worse, you'll always sound upset. Consider that the words curt, short, terse, abrupt, and clipped all literally mean short. When applied to a person or to language, they take on the meaning of upset or rude. For example, in the expressions his curt reply, her terse response, or he was very short with me, all indicate a less than sunny situation.
3 ways to make intonation. About this time, you're coming to the point where you may be wondering, what exactly are the mechanics of intonation? What changes when you go to the top of the staircase or when you put stress on a word? There are 3 ways to stress a word. The first way is just get louder or raise the volume. This is not a very sophisticated way of doing it, but it will definitely command attention. The second way is to stretch the word out or lengthen the word that you want to draw attention to, which sounds very insinuating. The third way, which is the most refined, is to change pitch. Although pausing just before changing the pitch is effective, you don't want to do it every time, because then it becomes an obvious technique. However, it will make your audience stop and listen because they think you're going to say something interesting.
Exercise 4-1, Rubber Band Practice with Nonsense Syllables. Take a rubber band and hold it with your 2 thumbs. Every time you want to stress a word by changing pitch, pull on the rubber band. Stretch it out gently, don't jerk it sharply. Make a looping infinity figure with it and do the same with your voice. Use the rubber band and stretch it out every time you change pitch. Read first across, then down.
1. Da-da-da. La-la-la. Me-me-me. Ho-ho-ho. 2. Da-da-da. La-la-la. Me-me-me. Ho-ho-ho. 3. Da-da-da. La-la-la. Me-me-me. Ho-ho-ho. 4. Da-da-da. La-la-la. Me-me-me. Ho-ho-ho. Now down. Column A. Da-da-da. 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 B. La-la-la. 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 C. Me-me-me. 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 D. Ho-ho-ho. 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 Read each column down, keeping the same intonation pattern. A. Da-da-da. A, B, C. 1, 2, 3. Dogs eat bones. Next, column B. Da-da-da. Imprecise. A hot dog. They eat bones. C. Da-da-da. Condition. A hot dog. They eat them. D. Da-da-da. Alphabet. Hot dog stand. Give me one.
The American speech music. All cultures gesture. A developmental physiologist at University of Wisconsin, Dr. Ali Bali, put forth that gestures accompany speech because our mouths and hands are closely linked in the brain. You may have noticed babies saying ga 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 and moving their hands to the beat. It's not necessary for you to gesticulate wildly, but it is important to integrate the rhythm of your speech music with physical gestures. To this end, you'll be tapping the table, snapping your fingers, and maybe even stretching a rubber band. Not in my language. A Pakistani database analyst said, "I didn't think about my own language in this way before. There is intonation when we speak, but not as much as in American English. Now that I've analyzed it, I found my language to be rhythmic too. In many places, We do the same up and down intonation. I must not have realized it because I speak without thinking about the language itself. It's really interesting to compare both language styles and then to extract certain resemblances from them. I never thought of it in that way.
Staircase intonation. So what is intonation in American English? What do Americans do? We go up and down staircases. We start high and end low. Every time we want to stress a word or an idea, we just start a new staircase. That sounds simple enough, but when and where do you start a new staircase? Statement intonation with nouns. Intonation or pitch change is primarily used to introduce new information. This means that when you're making a statement for the first time, you'll stress the nouns. Dogs eat bones.
Exercise 4-2, Noun Intonation. Practice the noun stress pattern after me using pitch change. Add your own examples.
1. Dogs eat bones. 2. Mike likes bikes. 3. Elsa wants a book. 4. Adam plays pool. 5. Bobby needs some money. 6. Susie combs her hair. 7. John lives in France. 8. Nellie teaches French. 9. Ben writes articles. 10. Keys open locks. 11. Jerry makes music. 12. Jean sells some apples. 13. Carol paints the car. 14. Bill and I fix the bikes. 15. Ann and Ed call the kids. 16. The kids like the candy. 17. The girls have a choice. 18. The boys need some help. Pause the CD. Practice the patterns 5 more times on your own using your rubber band. Statement intonation with pronouns. When you replace the nouns with pronouns, old information, stress the verb. They eat them. As we have seen, nouns are new information, pronouns are old information. In a nutshell, these are the 2 basic intonation patterns. Dogs eat bones. They eat them.
Exercise 4-3, Noun and pronoun intonation. In the first column, stress the nouns. In the second column, stress the verb. Fill in your own examples at the bottom.
1. Bob sees Betty. He sees her. 2. Betty knows Bob. She knows him. 3. Ann and Ed call the kids. They call 'em. 4. Jan sells some apples. She sells some. 5. Jean sells cars. She sells 'em. 6. Bill and I fix the bikes. We fix 'em. 7. Carl hears Bob and me. He hears us. 8. Dogs eat bones. They eat 'em. 9. The girls have a choice. They have one. 10. The kids like the candy. They like it. 11. The boys need some help. They need something. 12. Ellen should call her sister. She should call someone. 13. The murderer killed the plumber. He killed a man. 14. The tourists went shopping. They bought stuff. Statement versus question intonation. You may have learned at some point that questions have a rising intonation. They do, but usually a question will step upward until the very end, where it takes one quick little downward step. A question rises a little higher than a statement with the same intonation pattern. Here's my car. Where's my car? Emotional or rhetorical question intonation. If you know that your car is parked outside, however, and someone doesn't see it and asks you where it is, you might think that it has been stolen, and your emotion will show in your intonation as you repeat the question. As your feelings rise in an emotional situation, your intonation rises up along with them. Where's my car? Why? Is it gone?
Exercise 4-4, Sentence Intonation Test. Pause the CD and underline or highlight the words that you think should be stressed. Exercise 4-5, 4 main reasons for intonation. Depending on the situation, a word may be stressed for any of the following reasons: new information, opinion, contrast, can't.
1. New information. It sounds like rain. Rain is the new information. It's the most important word in that sentence, and you could replace everything else with da-da-da. Da-da-da rain will still let you get your point across. Repeat, da-da-da rain. It sounds like rain. Make rain very musical and put it on 2 notes. Rain. Da-da-da rain. It sounds like rain. 2. Opinion. It sounds like rain, but I don't think it is. In this case, intonation makes the meaning the opposite of what the words say. It looks like a diamond, but I think it's a zircon. It smells like Chanel, but at that price it's a knockoff. It feels like, it tastes like. These examples all give the impression that you mean the opposite of what your senses tell you. Practice the intonation difference between new information and opinion. It sounds like rain. It's rain. It sounds like rain, but it's not. 3. Contrast. He likes rain, but he hates snow. Like and hate are contrasted and are the stronger words in the sentence. 4. Can't. It can't rain when there are no clouds. Contractions, shouldn't, wouldn't, etc., and negatives, no, not, never, are important words since they totally negate the meaning of a sentence, but they're usually not stressed. Can't is the exception.
Exercise 4-6, Pitch and Meaning Change. Practice saying the 4 sentences after me. Pay close attention to the changes in pitch that you must make to convey the different meanings intended. The words to be stressed are indicated in boldface. 1. It sounds like rain. 2. It sounds like rain. 3. He likes rain, but he hates snow. 4. It can't rain on my parade. He can't do it. Exercise 4-7, Individual Practice. Practice saying the sentences after the suggestion and the beep tone. You'll be given only a short time in which to reply, so you won't have the leisure to overthink. Start speaking as soon as you hear the tone because I'll be saying the sentence only a few seconds later.
1. Convey the information that it really does sound as if rain is falling. 2. Convey the opinion that although it has the sound of rain, it may be something else. 3. Convey the different feelings that someone has about rain and snow. 4. Convey the fact that rain is an impossibility right now. Pause the CD. Practice the 4 sentences on your own 10 times. Once you're familiar with moving the stress around and feeling how the meaning changes, turn the CD on to continue with the next exercise.
Exercise 4-8, The Meaning of Pretty. Native speakers make a clear distinction between pretty easily, and pretty easily, a little difficult. Repeat the answers after me, paying close attention to your stress. Question: How'd you like the movie? Answer: It was pretty good. She liked it. It was pretty good. She didn't like it much. Exercise 4-9, Inflection. Notice how the meaning changes while the actual words stay the same. 1. I didn't say he stole the money. Someone else said it. 2. I didn't say he stole the money. That's not true at all. 3. I didn't say he stole the money. I only suggested the possibility. 4. I didn't say he stole the money. I think someone else took it. 5. I didn't say he stole the money. Maybe he just borrowed it. 6. I didn't say he stole the money, but rather some other money. 7. I didn't say he stole the money. He may have taken some jewelry.
I didn't say he stole the money. Someone else said it. It's true that somebody said it. but I wasn't that person. I didn't say he stole the money. That's not true at all. Someone has accused me, and I'm protesting my innocence. I didn't say he stole the money. I only suggested the possibility. Maybe I hinted it. Maybe I wrote it. In some way, I indicated that he stole the money, but I didn't say it. I didn't say he stole the money. I think someone else took it. I think someone stole the money, only not the person you suspect did it. I didn't say he stole the money. Maybe he just borrowed it. I agree that he took it, but I think his motive was different. I didn't say he stole the money, but rather some other money. We agree that he stole some money, but I don't think it's this money. I didn't say he stole the money. He may have taken some jewelry. We agree that he's a thief, but we think he stole different things. Notice that in the first half of these sentences, nothing changes but the intonation.
Exercise 4-10, Individual Practice. Now, let's see what you can do with the same sentence just by changing the stress around to different words. I'll tell you which meaning to express. When you hear the tone, say the sentence as quickly as you can, then I'll say the sentence for you. To test your ear, I'm going to repeat the sentences in random order. Try to determine which word I'm stressing. The answers are given in parentheses, but don't look unless you really have to. Here we go.
1. Indicate that he borrowed the money and didn't steal it. I didn't say he stole the money. Maybe he just borrowed it. 2. Indicate that you're denying having said that he stole it. I didn't say he stole the money. That's not true at all. 3. Indicate that you think he stole something besides money. I didn't say he stole the money. He may have taken some jewelry. 4. Indicate that you were not the person to say it. I didn't say he stole the money. Someone else said it. 5. Indicate that you don't think that he was the person who stole it. I didn't say he stole the money. I think someone else took it. 6. Indicate that you didn't say it outright, but did suggest it in some way. I didn't say he stole the money. I only suggested the possibility. 7. Indicate that he may have stolen a different amount of money. I didn't say he stole the money, but rather some other money.
Exercise 4-11. Imagine that you're being held hostage by a mad bomber and the only way to communicate with the outside is with notes stuck to the bank window. If you give each word of your plea equal value, the message will be lost in the barrage of information. Help, I'm being held captive by a mad bomber here in the bank. To clearly convey your message, you'll need to emphasize the most important words. This way, any random passerby can at a glance immediately catch your meaning. Help! Captive! Bomber! This is the same with intonation. Repeat the sentence clearly stressing the marked words. Please help me. I'm being held captive by a mad bomber.
Overdo it. Practice these sentences on your own, really exaggerating the word that you think should be stressed. In the beginning, you're going to feel that this is ridiculous. Nobody stresses this hard. Nobody talks like this. People are going to laugh at me. Yet as much as you may stress, you're probably only going to be stressing about half as much as you should. Pause the CD and practice the sentences in random order 10 times. Another reason you must over-exaggerate is because when you get tired, emotional, or relaxed, you'll stop paying attention. When this happens, like a rubber band, you're going to snap back to the way you originally were sounding, 10%. So if you just stretch yourself to the exact position where you ideally want to be, you'll go back almost completely to the old way when you relax. For practice, then, stretch yourself far beyond the normal range of intonation, 150% or so. So when you relax back to a standard American sound, 100%. We all do it. Possibly about this time you're thinking, well, maybe you do this in English, but in my language, I just really don't think we do this. I'd like you to try a little exercise.
Exercise 4-12, Translation. Take the sentence, I didn't say he stole the money, and translate it into your native language. Write it down below using whatever letters or characters you use in your language. Now that you've written your sentence down, try shifting the stress around in your own language by going through the stress patterns 1 through 7 in exercise 4-9. Don't try to put on a particular American or other accent. Just concentrate on stressing a different word in the sentence each time you say it.
For example, if your language is German, ich habe nicht gesagt, dass das Geld gestohlen hat, you would change the stress to ich habe nicht gesagt, dass das Geld gestohlen hat, or ich habe nicht gesagt, dass das Geld gestohlen hat. If you translated it into French, you would say je n'ai pas dit qu'il a volé l'argent, or je n'ai pas dit qu'il a volé l'argent. In Japanese, many people think there are no intonation changes, but if you hear someone say wakanai, you'll realize that it has similarities to every other language. Watashi wa kare ga okane o nusunda to wa imasen deshita. Or perhaps, watashi wa kare ga okane o nusunda to wa imasen deshita. No matter how strange it may sound to you, stress each different word several times in your language. You may notice that with some words it sounds perfectly normal, but with other words it sounds very strange. Or you may find that in your language, rather than stressing a word, you prefer to change the word order or substitute another word. Whatever you do is fine, as long as you realize where your language patterns are similar to and different from the American English intonation patterns. Then, when you do it again in English, it'll be much easier. Note: an excellent exercise is to practice speaking your native language with an American accent. If you can sound like an American speaking your native language, imagine how easy it would be to speak English with an American accent. Pause the CD and practice shifting the stressed words in your native language. Intonation contrast. Below are two sentences. The first is stressed on the most common everyday word, book. 9 times out of 10, people will stress the sentence in this way. The second sentence has a less common but perfectly acceptable intonation since we're making a distinction between two possible locations. Normal intonation. Where's the book? It's on the table. Changed intonation. Is the book on the table or under it? It's on the table. Pause the CD and repeat the sentences.
Exercise 4-13. Create your own intonation contrast. Write a short sentence and indicate where you think the most normal intonation would be placed. Then, change the meaning of the sentence slightly and change the intonation accordingly.
There are 3 types of questions: yes, no, either or, and the 5W questions. They each have a different inflection pattern, so even if you don't catch all the words, you can still tell what type of question it was. The 5W questions are who, what, where, when, and why, and how. As you heard in the question and response above, where's the book? It's on the table. The inflection goes up on the question and down on the statement. A query like, would you like tea or coffee? Could be an either-or question, tea, coffee, or a yes-no question. Hot beverage? A classic, probably apocryphal story spells out the consequences of misinterpreting the question type. An immigrant was passing through Ellis Island and was asked the then standard question, are you planning to overthrow the United States by force or violence? The man pondered deeply for a moment and tentatively replied, by force? Of course he was not let in, as the only acceptable answer was no.
Exercise 4-14. Variable stress. Notice how the meaning of the following sentence changes each time we change the stress pattern. You should be starting to feel in control of your sentences now.
1. What would you like? This is the most common version of the sentence, and it's just a simple request for information. 2. What would you like? This is to single out an individual from a group. 3. What would you like? You've been discussing the kinds of things that he might like, and you want to determine his specific desires. Now that you mention it, what would you like? Or, he has rejected several things, and a little exasperated, you ask, if you don't want any of these, what would you like? 4. What would you like? You didn't hear, and you'd like the speaker to repeat herself. Or, you can't believe what you just heard. I'd like strawberry jam on my asparagus. What would you like? Turn off the CD and repeat the 4 sentences.
Exercise 4-15. Make a variable stress sentence. Now you decide which words should be emphasized. Write a normal, everyday sentence with at least 7 words and put it through as many changes as possible. Try to make a pitch change for each word in the sentence and think about how it changes the meaning of the entire sentence. Exercise 4-16. Yes, you can, or no, you can't. Next, you use a combination of intonation and pronunciation to make the difference between can and can't. Reduce the positive can to can and stress the verb. Make the negative can't sound very short and stress both can't and the verb. This will contrast with the positive emphasized can, which is doubled, and the verb is not stressed. If you have trouble with can't before a word that starts with a vowel, such as open, put in a very small d. The keys can't open the locks. Repeat. I can do it. I can't do it. I can do it. I can't do it. Exercise 4-17. Can or can't quiz. Listen to how each sentence is said and select positive, negative, extra positive, or extra negative.
1. I can see it. 2. I can't see it. 3. I can see it. 4. I can't see it. 5. He can try it. 6. I can't understand him. 7. We can call you. 8. She can't buy one. 9. She can do it.
Application of intonation. There's always at least one stressed word in a sentence, and frequently you can have quite a few if you're introducing a lot of new information or if you want to contrast several things. Look at the paragraph in exercise 4-18. Take a pencil and mark every word that you think should be stressed or sound stronger than the words around it. I'd like you to make just an accent mark to indicate a word that you think should sound stronger than others around it. Reminder, the 3 ways to change your voice for intonation are 1. Volume, speak louder. 2. Length, stretch out a word. 3. Pitch, change your tone. Pause the CD and work on the paragraph below. Exercise 4-18, application of stress. Mark every word or syllable with an accent mark where you think that the sound is stressed. Use the first sentence as your example. Pause the CD.
Hello. My name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. There's a lot to learn, but I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I should pick up on the American intonation pattern pretty easily, although the only way to get it is to practice all the time. I use the up and down, or peaks and valleys, intonation more than I used to. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. It's like walking down a staircase. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand. Anyway, I could go on and on, but the important thing is to listen well and sound good. Well, what do you think? Do I?
Listen and make any corrections. After you've put in the accent marks where you think they belong, take a highlighter, and as I read very slowly, mark the words that I stress. I'm going to exaggerate the words far more than you'd normally hear in a normal reading of the paragraph. You can mark either the whole word or just the strong syllable, whichever you prefer, so that you have a bright spot of color for where the stress should fall. Note: if you do the exercise only in pencil, your eye and mind will tend to skip over the accent marks. The spots of color, however, will register as different and thereby encourage your pitch change. This may strike you as unusual, but trust me, it works. Pause the CD and practice reading the paragraph out loud 3 times on your own.
How you talk indicates to people how you are. Beware of revealing a personality that you don't have. There is no absolute right or wrong in regard to intonation because a case can be made for stressing just about any word or syllable, but you actually reveal a lot about yourself by the elements you choose to emphasize. For example, if you say, hello, this intonation would indicate doubt. This is why you say hello when answering the phone because you don't know who's on the other end, or when you go into a house and you don't know who's there because you don't see anyone. But if you're giving a speech or making a presentation and you stand up in front of a crowd and say, hello, the people would probably laugh because it sounds so uncertain. This is where you'd confidently want to say, hello, my name is so-and-so. A second example is, my name is, as opposed to, my name is. If you stress name, it sounds as if you're going to continue with more personal information. My name is so-and-so, my address is such and such, my blood type is O. Since it may not be your intention to give all that information, stay with the standard, hello, my name is so-and-so. If you stress I every time, it will seem that you have a very high opinion of yourself. Try it. I'm taking American accent training. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. I think I'm quite wonderful. An earnest, hard-working person might emphasize words this way. I'm taking American accent training. Can I learn this stuff? I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I'll force myself to enjoy it if I have to. Although the only way to get it is to practice all the time, 24 hours a day. A doubting Thomas would show up with, I should pick up on, but I might not. The American intonation pattern pretty easily, but it looks pretty hard, too. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand, but I think they're just being polite.
Exercise 4-19, Paragraph Intonation Practice. From your color-marked copy, read each sentence of the paragraph in Exercise 4-18 after me. Use your rubber band, give a clear pitch change to the highlighted words, and think about the meaning that the pitch is conveying. Back up the CD and practice this paragraph 3 times. Pause the CD and practice 3 times on your own. Exercise 4-20, Reading with Staircase Intonation. Read the following with clear intonation where marked.
Hello. My name is Anne. I'm taking American accent training. There's a lot to learn, but I hope to make it as enjoyable as possible. I should pick up on the American intonation pattern pretty easily, although the only way to get it is to practice all the time. I use the up and down, or peaks and valleys, intonation more than I used to. I've been paying attention to pitch, too. It's like walking down a staircase. I've been talking to a lot of Americans lately, and they tell me that I'm easier to understand. Anyway, I could go on, but the important thing is to listen well and sound good. Well, what do you think? Do I?
Exercise 4-21, Spelling and Numbers.
Just as there is stress in words or phrases, there is intonation in spelling and numbers. Americans seem to spell things out much more than other people. In any bureaucratic situation, you'll be asked to spell names and give all kinds of numbers, your phone number, your birth date, and so on. There's a distinct stress and rhythm pattern to both spelling and numbers, usually in groups of 3 or 4 letters or numbers, with the stress falling on the last member of the group. Acronyms, phrases that are represented by the first letter of each word, and initials are usually stressed on the last letter. Just listen to the words as I say them, then repeat the spelling after me.
IBM, MIT, PhD, MBA, LA, IQ, RSVP, TV, USA, ASAP, CIA, FBI, USMC, COD, SOS, XYZ, BOX, COOK, WILSON, 213, 91604, 9662, 1-800-457-4255, 915, 2:30, midnight, afternoon. Exercise 4-22, Sound Meaning Shifts. Intonation is powerful. It can change meaning and pronunciation. Here, you'll get the chance to play with the sounds. Remember, in the beginning, the meaning isn't that important. Just work on getting control of your pitch changes. Use your rubber band for each stressed word. My tie, my tie, might I? My keys, my keys, my keys. In key, inky. My tea, mighty, mighty. I have two, I have two. I have to. How many kids do you have? I have two. I've been to Europe. I have two. Why do you work so hard? I have to. Exercise 4-23, Squeezed Out Syllables. Intonation can also completely get rid of certain entire syllables. Some longer words that are stressed on the first syllable squeeze weak syllables right out. Cover up the regular spelling and read the phonetics.
Accidentally, actually, aspirin, average, bakery, basically, beverage, boundary, broccoli, business, cabinet, camera, Catholic, chocolate, comfortable, conference, corporal, coverage, desperate, diamond, diaper, different, emerald, emery, every, family, favorite, finally, general, groceries, history, interest, jewelry, liberal, mathematics, memory, natural, Niagara, nursery, onion, opera, orange, preference, probably, realize, restaurant, separate, several, theory, threatening, vegetable, victory.
Exercise 4-24, Regular Transitions of Nouns and Verbs. In the list below, change the stress from the first syllable for nouns to the second syllable for verbs. This is a regular, consistent change. Intonation is so powerful that you'll notice when the stress changes, the pronunciation of the vowels do too.
An accent, to accent. A concert, to concert. A conflict, to conflict. A contest, to contest. A contract, to contract. A contrast, to contrast. A convert, to convert. A convict, to convict. A default, to default. A desert, to desert. A discharge, to discharge. An envelope, to envelop. An incline, to incline. An influence, to influence. An insert, to insert. An insult, to insult. An object, to object. Perfect, to perfect. A permit, to permit. A present, to present. Produce, to produce. Progress, to progress. A project, to project. A pronoun, to pronounce. A protest, to protest. A rebel, to rebel. A recall, to recall. A record, to record. A reject, to reject. Research, to research. A subject, to subject. A survey, to survey. A suspect, to suspect.
Exercise 4-25, Regular Transitions of Adjectives and Verbs. A different change occurs when you go from an adjective or a noun to a verb. The stress stays in the same place, but the mate in an adjective is completely reduced to mut, whereas in a verb, it's a full sound, mate.
Advocate, to advocate. Animate, to animate. Alternate, to alternate. Appropriate, to appropriate. Approximate, to approximate. Articulate, to articulate. Associate, to associate. Deliberate, to deliberate. Discriminate, to discriminate. Duplicate, to duplicate. Elaborate, to elaborate. An estimate, to estimate. Graduate, to graduate. Intimate, to intimate. Moderate, to moderate. Predicate, to predicate. Separate, to separate.
Exercise 4-26. Regular transitions of adjectives and verbs. Mark the intonation or indicate the long vowel on the bold-faced word, depending which part of speech it is. Pause the CD and mark the proper syllables.
1. You need to insert a paragraph here on this newspaper insert. 2. How can you object to this object? 3. I'd like to present you with this present. 4. Would you care to elaborate on his elaborate explanation? 5. The manufacturer couldn't recall if there'd been a recall. 6. The religious convert wanted to convert the world. 7. The political rebels wanted to rebel against the world. 8. The mogul wanted to record a new record for his latest artist. 9. If you perfect your intonation, your accent will be perfect. 10. Due to the drought, the fields didn't produce much produce this year. 11. Unfortunately, City Hall wouldn't permit them to get a permit. 12. Have you heard that your associate is known to associate with gangsters? 13. How much do you estimate that the estimate will be? 14. The facilitator wanted to separate the general topic into separate categories.